Open Book Part 5, When the Whole Community Became Witnesses. The news of John Bell's mysterious death did not drive the spirit away. On the contrary, it shook the people of Tennessee even more. Open Book Part 5, When the Whole Community Became Witnesses. The news of John Bell's mysterious death did not drive the spirit away. On the contrary, it shook the people of Tennessee even more. Stories whispered from house to house, from the marketplace to church gatherings, fanned the flames of both curiosity and fear. The name Bell Witch, or Kate, as the invisible entity called itself, became an obsession for the entire community. At first, only a few close neighbors visited the Bell family after the funeral to offer their condolences. But soon, crowds began to gather, no longer just to mourn, but to see with their own eyes what they had heard about. Is it true that a woman's voice comes from nowhere? Is it true objects move by themselves? Is it true the spirit killed John Bell? These questions drove even the bravest to come. And then, they too became witnesses. One evening, as the Bell family sat with a few neighbors in the parlor, a voice suddenly rang out, clear, feminine, but dripping with malice. "You came to watch the show, did you? I'm right here." Everyone froze. The air went rigid, broken only by the thudding of quickened hearts. A burly man in the group, known for his courage, forced a nervous laugh. "If you're really here, then show yourself." Immediately, an invisible blow struck his chest. He was knocked backward onto the wooden floor, gasping for air as though someone had punched him. Terrified, he scrambled into a corner, his face pale as chalk. The room erupted with screams. News of the incident spread quickly. Before long, the Bell farm became a strange destination. People came not only from nearby villages, but from faraway towns. Some came out of faith, some from curiosity, some hoping to witness what they believed only the Bible spoke of, the presence of demons. Each time a crowd gathered, Kate seemed to revel in it. Her voice rang out, sometimes with mocking laughter, sometimes with sharp scorn. "You want proof? Here it is." A chair would suddenly flip over, or a bowl of water would spill onto the floor without a hand touching it. Children burst into tears, women screamed, and men stood stunned, speechless. Some swore that as soon as they stepped through the farm's gate, an icy wind swept past them, despite the blazing summer sun. An old woman whispered shakily to her neighbor. I heard it whisper in my ear. It called my name, my full name, as if it had known me forever. The voice of Kate echoed not only inside the house, but also in the yard and the barns. Sometimes she sang twisted versions of hymns, sweet melodies laced with mockery. Sometimes she retold John Bell's death in chilling detail, as if to prove her victory. Gradually, the community split into two camps. Some believed this was a sign of the devil, a test of faith sent by God. They knelt and prayed, hoping to drive the spirit away. Others remained doubtful, yet their curiosity kept them coming. A few bold men even shouted challenges. "If you're real, then harm me." Inevitably, they were struck down or felt an invisible hand squeezing their throats until they fled outside, pale and gasping. After that, no one dared provoke her again. The fear spread beyond the Bell household. It seeped into the town, into family meals and church sermons. People shared terrifying accounts, each retelling more vivid than the last. The story became a shared nightmare haunting all of Tennessee. One night, nearly 20 people gathered in the Bell parlor, including a minister, a schoolteacher, and sturdy farmers. They wanted proof once and for all. The oil lamp flickered across tense faces. Silence pressed down on the room. Suddenly, a knocking came from the wall. Talk, talk, talk. 3 steady raps. The minister asked, "Are you here, Kate?" A woman's laugh answered, "Yes, Reverend. I am." Gasps filled the room. Someone stammered, "What do you want?" "I want you to know I can do anything. I can touch, I can strike, I can kill, as I did with John Bell." The room went deathly still. Some bolted outside in terror. Others dropped to their knees in prayer. But their prayers only made the laughter grow louder, as though mocking their faith itself. After that night, no one doubted anymore. Dozens had seen and heard it with their own senses. The haunting was no longer rumor, it was undeniable truth. The Bell Farm became the center of Tennessee. So many flocked there that the dirt road to the house was trampled deep with footprints and crowded with wagons. Some brought Bibles, others carried weapons, hoping steel and bullets could shield them. But all left with the same haunting realization. They could not touch it, but it could touch them. In the nights that followed, strange noises echoed for miles. Families living far from the Bell Farm claimed to hear laughter in the wind, or their names whispered as they crossed empty fields. Children refused to step outside after sunset. Churches filled to the brim, with worshippers begging God for protection. But Kate did not relent. She grew bolder, feeding on the fear she sowed. And with every new witness, her power seemed more real. One freezing winter afternoon, with snow blanketing the yard, nearly 30 people gathered at the Bell house. They wanted to see for themselves, one last time, before deciding to abandon the land. In the crowded room, a song rose, a young girl's voice, pure and ringing. But the words were chilling. John Bell died by my hand. Who will be next? Chaos erupted. A woman fainted. A man clutched his gun but dared not fire. The candles went out all at once, plunging the room into suffocating darkness. Laughter rang in the pitch black, growing nearer, as if the presence stood among them. When the candles were relit, a handprint was seared into the table, a woman's hand, burned deep into the wood as if pressed there by fire. No one dared remain. From that moment, the terror was no longer confined to one household. It clung to the entire community, settling into the minds of Tennessee's people. They whispered to one another, "Kate is not just the ghost of the Bell family, she is the curse of this land." And everyone knew. From then on, their lives would never again be at peace. In a peaceful land of Tennessee in the early 19th century, the Bell family's log house, once filled with laughter, had now sunk into darkness and anxiety. Betsy Bell, the youngest daughter, known for her beauty, gentleness, and devotion, had become the center of a tragic love story, drenched in mystery, unlike anything the community had ever witnessed. Betsy had fallen in love with Joshua Gardner, a young man from the same village, strong, hard-working, and well-liked by many. They had known each other since childhood, often walking to school together and attending church services side by side. Their feelings grew in the innocence of youth and gradually blossomed into deep affection. The people of the region admired the couple, Betsy, beautiful and graceful, Joshua, dignified and upright. They seemed destined for each other. John Bell and his wife also supported the match, believing Joshua to be a worthy husband for their daughter. When Joshua finally proposed, Betsy was moved to tears. She thought all the pain and haunting from the spirit Kate would gradually fade once she held the hand of the man she loved and began a new family. The engagement was quickly arranged, and the whole community awaited what promised to be a dreamlike wedding. Yet, as soon as the news of their betrothal spread, the atmosphere within the Bell home grew heavy. The supernatural disturbances that had long tormented the family now erupted more violently than ever. At night, Betsy would awaken drenched in sweat from terrifying nightmares. In her dreams, she saw a woman with disheveled hair, eyes glowing red like embers, whispering venomous words into her ear. "You are not allowed to marry him. If you dare, I will destroy everything." Sometimes the whisper turned into a piercing scream, echoing throughout the room so loudly that others in the house could hear it. John Bell once rushed into his daughter's room at midnight only to find Betsy trembling on her bed, staring blankly into the void, stammering, "Father, she's here again." Even during quiet walks with Joshua, Betsy often felt an invisible presence lurking nearby. A sudden cold wind would raise goosebumps on her skin, or mocking laughter would echo from the woods, leaving her pale with fear. Joshua, though strong and faithful, began to sense that some force was deliberately trying to tear them apart. One evening, as Betsy studied in her room, her candle suddenly went out. Darkness pressed in. From within the void, Kate's voice resounded clearly. "You do not belong to him. Remember my words, or else blood will be spilled." The candle flared back to life, but Betsy was so terrified she collapsed onto the floor, clutching her ears to block the echoes still reverberating in her mind. Day after day, this ordeal wore her down. Her once radiant face grew pale and hollow under the weight of fear. Joshua would hold her hand tightly, vowing that their love was strong enough to overcome any trial. He swore he would protect her to the end. But deep inside, Betsy knew the curse was no idle threat. On another occasion, as they sat beneath an oak tree outside the Bell home, Betsy rested her head on Joshua's shoulder, seeking peace in his embrace. Suddenly, a stone came flying out of nowhere, grazing Betsy's cheek and leaving her in pain. Joshua leapt to his feet, scanning the area, but found only emptiness. It was clear this was no human prank. The fear sank deeper into Betsy's heart. She began to withdraw from Joshua, not because her love had faded, but because she believed their love itself was what endangered them. She could not bear to see him cursed because of her. Yet Joshua refused to let go. He went to the church, asking the minister to pray, hoping to banish the evil. The pastor read from the Bible and lifted prayers for the young couple, but in the middle of the service, a strong wind swept through, knocking the holy book to the ground, and a shrill laugh echoed from the rooftop. Rumors spread quickly. People whispered that Kate haunted not only the Bell house, but also followed Betsy wherever she went. Some advised her to end her engagement if she wished to be free from torment. Those whispers cut into her heart like knives. At last, the fateful day arrived. After a night of relentless nightmares, Betsy collapsed into her mother's arms, weeping uncontrollably. Mary Bell embraced her daughter with both love and helplessness, praying for God's protection. John Bell, consumed with anger, resolved to visit the Gardner household and declare that the marriage must be canceled. But Betsy herself stopped him, her eyes red from crying. Betsy stepped into the yard where Joshua was waiting. His face lit up at the sight of her, only for hope to vanish when she shook her head. "Joshua, I can't," she said, her voice breaking. Joshua clutched her hands, trembling. "Betsy, don't say that. You are my whole life. No spirit or darkness will keep me from you." Tears streamed down Betsy's cheeks. "You don't understand. She will never stop. If I stay with you, you'll be destroyed. I can't let that happen." Joshua cried out in anguish, but Betsy pulled her hands away and turned to leave. Her slender figure faded into the twilight, leaving him frozen, his heart torn apart. That night, Betsy sat alone in her room, clutching the Bible to her chest, pleading for forgiveness. Kate's voice came again, this time not with fury, but with cruel mockery. "I told you so. You will never escape my grasp." The candle went out, and in the darkness, Betsy felt a cold breath against her neck. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to drive it away, but deep down she knew. Fate had already been sealed. From then on, Betsy lived like a shadow of herself, no longer laughing or speaking with joy. Joshua left the Bell farm with a shattered heart. Villagers, when recalling the story, would sigh with sorrow for a love so pure yet so mercilessly cursed. And the Bell home, long shrouded in haunting, grew darker still, for love, their last glimmer of hope, had also been crushed by Kate's ruthless hand.